Welcome to Stranger Connections, where I celebrate wonderfully weird people and quirky stories. I'm your curious beast and host, Lisa David Olson, the practically world famous business humorist, interactive speaker, and speaker trainer. So reach out if you want me to help reignite. Reach out to me if you want to help reignite your team or event. I'm going to have to edit already. And today's guest is very special, new bestie. Please welcome Kimberly Parry to Stranger Connections.
Hello. I feel at home with my weird and wonderful self. I feel so welcome here.
It's your place, it's your people. We're all here to be weird together, collectively strange. And that's, you know, aliens here and unicorns there. Welcome.
I
So
love
glad to
that.
have you here.
So
And I
inclusive.
invited you because I saw some of your things online that I heard about fashion and personal style, but then I also heard that your life took a big flippity turnaround that got you there. So you can start where you want to, but I'm going to start with a quote that I heard from you. If it's not fun, it's not worth doing. I'm for that.
Yes, I love that. And I do have to give a shout out. That was one of the big takeaways when I did TEDx Woodinville. George Bernbach, who I absolutely adore. He is a quirky and fascinating human that I think you would enjoy meeting. But a lot of people follow their passion, follow their bliss, all these phrases that we've heard. George follows his fun. Like, if it's
Yes.
not fun, you can't do it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, follow your fun. So if it's not fun, it's not worth doing.
Yeah,
So
life's too short to do the dumb stuff. I mean, unless you're getting paid for it, but that's incentive and money's fun.
yeah,
But
even then, life is too short.
well, you're a
And
former religion teacher,
yes.
but now you're a lifestylist. So how does that work? That is beautifully quirky.
Oh, it is. If you even knew, the fact that I am a certified personal stylist is by far one of the most quirky things about me, because most people who are led to that industry are people who've loved fashion. They love trends and image and things like that, and clothing. And clothing has always been such a first world problem for me. Like, I just did not care. In high school, I was a jock. I knew how to do ponytails, and that was about it. Makeup, I think I did for junior prom. That was it. But I did not understand all the girls who were into hair and makeup and all the things. I was in sweats and boxers and ready for a pickup game at any moment, and I did wrestling stats. So, I didn't care about fashion at all. Went to college, and my first semester I took a fashion merchandising class because it was back in the day of like rotary dial phones. Maybe we had buttons, but where you had to call in for registration. And so all the other classes were full. So I got into fashion merchandising because it was open,
Oh,
and I
jeez.
hated it. That
Oh,
semester, I took fashion merchandising and was introduced to feminist literary theory. And, Robert Frost, right? The two paths diverged in the woods. And in that semester of fashion merchandising, where it was talking about ideal body type for women and all of these rules and regulations that just to me felt icky. It felt so confining, where feminist literary theory felt so liberating. You know? And that's where I moved. I was into feminist literary theory, did my master's degree, ended up becoming a religion teacher. I've always been very much into philosophy and theology and just spirituality. And there is a difference between religion and spirituality. Where religion really is about, the dogmas and the doctrines and teaching, the theory and the doctrine about God and about spirit, where to me, spirituality is your personal experience with that. It's your personal relationship with you and with your spirit. It's your relationship with your higher power, whatever word you put on that.
well said.
And that was my passion. I mean, I did that for 16 years. Talking about the quirky, for 9 years of that, one of the courses that I taught was doctrinal foundations about marriage and family. And
Oh,
that's the
okay.
course I was teaching when my ex and I separated. and divorced, right? Like 9 years teaching about marriage and family. Here I am,
Oopsie doodles.
becoming divorced. And it was that year that my life turned upside down.
Mm,
So 2 months after my son was born, I was on the phone, really excited. I had just done Zumba. Again, anyone who's had children knows it takes a little while to get back in Zumba mode after
right,
birthing.
right.
I had just done Zumba that day, and I was talking to a friend, talking about how I was excited to take the kids to the park and do all these things, and the right side of my body went numb. And they thought like stroke-like symptoms, went to the ER. They said, ran all the tests, said nothing was wrong with me. And that was the starting point. It was like a neurological bomb went off,
Oh,
and I was going to medical appointments 3 to 5 days a week, and doctors could not find out what was wrong with me. I was laying on a bed in my living room. I couldn't hold my son because I didn't know if my arm was going to give out on me. I couldn't nurse because I had so much contrast from imaging
yeah.
going through me. So I was watching other people take care of my kids as I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me, and doctors had no answers. Um, and that was when my ex and I also separated in the midst of all of this. So I'm on a bed, chronically ill, divorced, single mom, and couldn't teach in the classroom. Like I didn't know if I could stand up or whatever. So I lost my career, my health, and my marriage all in the same year, and had to figure out what I was going to do with myself. And as a religion teacher, it's not like there's a lot of corporations or companies looking for religious consultants on staff, like come in and help us with the woo. There
Exactly.
wasn't a huge market for that outside of academia.
No, we just
And
need a little
so
woo touch up.
yeah, yes. Can you come help us get spiritually into now? The truth is getting authentically aligned really can help you in business. I do coach on that. Um, but I found that that was my sweet spot, is people would come into my house to help, or as they were driving me, to different appointments, people would ask me, like, I don't know how you're doing this. I don't know how you're doing this. And all of this was around 2016. So it was before the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit and all of a sudden people were quarantined and they were in their homes, and they're like, you've been doing this for years. Like, how do you do this? How do you get through? How do you develop the resilience? And that naturally led to my becoming a coach. And I was like, oh, this is where I can use my skill set. And I was very focused on authentic alignment, helping people get soul set before they applied mindset, right? Because you can set goals, you can use your mindset to achieve and acquire things, but if it's not authentically aligned, you won't feel fulfilled by it. And I found a
True.
lot of people were experiencing that. They're like, well, I know how to do mindset, but I still am not happy. Or there were people going through transitions, especially women going through divorce, or empty nesters who said, I don't know who I am without my relationship. I don't know who I am without my kids. And women are notorious for losing themselves
Oh, and
in
you can still
relationship.
be married and still be going through a transition and
Yes.
still be going through a ramp, whether it was the marriage surviving through the pandemic
Mhm.
and still
Yeah.
coming out differently, or
Yep.
you drifted apart, now you're back together, or you're working out
Oh,
something.
yeah.
We've been
Or if it's a
through.
relationship with business,
Yes. Yes.
especially entrepreneurs, CEOs, women in leadership. It's one of the places that I speak to a lot, are women
Mm,
who have been burning themselves out
yeah.
using masculine forms of leadership that are not authentic to them, but
Mm,
that's what's taught,
yeah.
as the model. And if you look at research, right now, there's the silent quitting and the employee satisfaction issues that people are still talking about. And they want a different model and a different mode. They want community, they want purpose, they want different things than they wanted, you
What
know
is silent quitting?
silent when people are dissatisfied with their jobs, and so productivity goes down. Like they don't officially quit their jobs, but it's called silent quitting, right? And I don't
Huh.
know if you've seen that in the workplace or with people that you've worked with. People do that in relationships, where they stay in a relationship, but they're not present in the relationship.
Oh,
They've silently quit the relationship. It's a silent divorce, right? If you've seen
interesting.
people who check out,
Yeah. Yeah.
of something, but they haven't officially notified the other party, or they haven't given their notice,
Yeah, I'm
for
done, by the way, but I just haven't found time to let you know.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's passive aggressiveness,
You
right?
think?
Lack of
Yeah.
finding a voice.
That's
Anyway,
all
the
that's
story's
always
gone
pretty.
on longer than normal, but that was the foundation of who I was, and so a lot of my coaching was around authentic alignment.
Mhm.
Coming to know who you are at a core soul level, which I found through my bed in the living room moments, right? I
Wow.
mean, that drives you inward and really makes you get focused on, your core identity when you can't do anything and you realize you're not your resume, you don't know what you're going to be able to do. It's okay, who am I?
Mhm.
And what is my value? What is my worth? If I can acquire and I can achieve and I'm laying on a bed in the living room, what is my value?
Right.
And so helping others tap into that is my passion. And that's the foundation of what I do. So the styling. Right?
Yeah.
Here I am teaching, getting past the Buddhist illusion, right? Like what Buddhists call the illusion, getting past the body, getting past all the resume and the things, and getting in touch with your soul is where I was. And I have a dear friend who was one of my roommates in college. She's been my guinea pig for all my programs. Right. You've got to have one, you've got to test stuff out before you lay it on the general public. And she was my guinea
Yeah.
pig for everything. And in doing all of this soul work, she said to me one day, she said, now that I know who I am, my external world does not fit me anymore. Like I realize, like my clothes are not me. My house, like my desk, my office, like it is not me. And I feel so uncomfortable. She said, Kim, I realize I have been dressing for my mom most of my
Ooh.
life.
Huh.
Like dressing according to her standards and what her mom had taught her looks good on her and whatever. And she said, you have got to play dress up with me like you did in college. Like, let's just go shopping. So she flew out to me and we went shopping, but I said, we need to dress who you are. Like, we need to dress your archetypes, your archetypal personality, these characters that make you you, all these things that you've come to know about yourself. And we need to get an authentic style. So I took her to a couple stores, threw in a dressing room, threw clothes at her, which is so much fun. I love spending other people's money. It's
Yeah.
really and just threw stuff at her. And I'd go and I'd find things that kind of suited different aspects of her personality. And as we're doing this, women started coming out of the other dressing rooms and they're like, what are you doing out there? And she said, oh, this is my friend. She's a life coach and she's helping me do that. And they said, can you give me feedback? So I'm just sitting here in this dressing room, and I said, well, for her, it's about, I know her personality and I know what's going on. So these women would come out and they say, well, how does this look? And I said, it's not about how you look. How do you feel? And they were like, well, it's like a totally different approach to styling. And so
Right.
anyway, so I had this experience. She went home and I mean, literally every week she was texting me, hey, all these women are asking me what I've done, and like what I've done with my style. And I, tell them about you and they want to work with you and they want to do these things. And I said, that style is not like, that's like a fun thing that we did, but I've done this coaching and these women were asking for style. They were asking for style. And I'm like, okay, it's not about the fashion though. Really what they were attracted to was her confidence and her awareness and the fact that her external style finally matched who she was. When that's in alignment, it activates the law of attraction on so many levels. And we're not talking, I mean, she is a full-bodied woman. We have both had children. Neither of us are in our 20s, right? And she is a full-figured woman. Right. So this isn't a supermodel walking out looking like she's 20. This is a mom in a real body, a real woman who knows who she is, which is so attractive, right? And women were drawn to that. And they're like, I want the fashion. I said, no, you want to get connected with yourself. So these women are asking me to do it. And I'm like, if I'm going to start doing this professionally, I realize there is something to this. And my brother, who is not about the woo, like he's not in that, he's like, spirituality is cool for you and that's your thing. When I started doing the styling, he said, I want you to do that with me. And
Oh.
I'm like, there is something here. There was something powerful here. And I did like, so my brother and I went and played dress up. I've been dressing him since he was 11, and now he's a grown man. I'm like, okay, let's go play dress up.
With
And we did.
him,
And we,
what did you notice it was compared to what did you see the difference after spending the day where he was open to ideas?
now that I have done it, what it is, uh, teenagers pick up on this intuitively, right? There is something about style and clothing that is so connected with expression. It is how we um define ourselves in junior high, right? Like you look back at the pictures and the reason they're so laughable is because we were trying on different personas. We were trying to figure out who we were. And a lot of times we were following other people, right? And that's why our junior high pictures are so funny, is because now that we know a little bit more about ourselves, we recognize that that's totally like I'm not a goth, or I'm not, or I'm not a preppy, whatever year you were going through that phase. But clothing in and of itself is neutral, right? But so many people want to feel unique. They want to feel authentic, and they want to feel seen for who they are. And clothing is a powerful way to do that. And if you think about how much we allow ourselves to be affected by what we think other people perceive in us, right? It's actually another talk that I want to give. I'd love to do it. It's in the works. I'd love to do another TEDx talk on the most disempowering question we ask ourselves in the morning. Do you give your power away when you get dressed? And if the question you ask yourself is, how do I look? You've already given your power away. Because the follow-up question to that is, to who? Because most of the time it's not you. It's, how am I going to look when I go out of my house? How am I going to look at work? How are people going to perceive me? And when you start your morning that way, you've given your power to what other people think. And so when I work with my clients, I say the question that you ask yourself is, how do I want to show up? Right?
I
That is a
like
very
that.
different question. And when you start with that, it's not about how people perceive you. And if you can live your life showing up authentically and knowing that you are doing that, I
Mhm.
call it shame spray, right? I mean, all of a sudden, other people's opinions, people can think whatever they want about you, but if you know who you are and you know how you're showing up, it doesn't matter.
Is
And
it
I know
like
that's
cootie
easier said
spray?
than done. That's a process, but it really does help tune out that voice and help you tune up the volume on your inner voice. And who knew, right? So here's this jock, feminist, religion teacher who, sat and taught, get past the body. And I still do,
Yes.
because the style work that I do isn't about how you look.
Mhm.
It's about finding your voice and how you communicate who you are to the world. And that is the power of personal style.
Mm.
And it is powerful.
It is, and I
Yeah.
think that sentence of saying, "What are you saying in the morning? Who are you dressing for?" I agree with that, and it's not even about me agreeing. I'm just like, I'm gonna think about that tomorrow morning when I get ready for work. I know I will. It's also reminiscent to me of the Hoarder show
Yes.
of what you do because you're saying, "How do you feel?" And
Yeah.
with hoarders, it's not all the stuff, it's why are you collecting all the stuff?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
every case
And usually it's
breaks down
attached to
like that.
some kind of trauma, right?
Trauma, yeah,
Like
mental
that there
health.
was some loss of
Mhm.
something, or there's some protection, right?
Yes.
If you've gone through the trauma of food insecurity or poverty,
Mhm.
right? Going through that, having stuff can feel safe, right?
Right.
Because even if I'm poor again, even if something happens, I know I have food. I know
Right.
I have clothes. I know I have something. Or if it's a sudden loss of health, been there, done that. Sudden loss of a relationship, been there, done that. Sudden loss
Right.
of a job, been there, done that, right? But loss, it's also that illusion of safety, right? If I can see something tangible around
Mhm.
me, then I know, like, it's a life raft, right? I've
Mm.
got a life raft, and I can't totally say I'm not a therapist. I'm not trying to get into that realm of
Right.
things.
Right. No,
But
but
when you
but
watch
you
the show, it
have
usually is either some kind of protection, some kind of safety, or trying to fill a need. And anytime you try to fill an internal need with something external, it's an insatiable demand. You cannot meet it. You
No.
can't eat enough. You can't buy enough. You can't accumulate enough
Mhm.
if you're not
That's
filling that internal need.
that is the power. That is taking your power back and starting from the inside, but then letting it reflect outside. And we all know
Yes.
how
And
we
I say I do
feel.
inside out makeovers, right? I dress
Yeah.
women from the inside out. And I found that they actually shop different, they spend less money in the long run because when you know who you are, you don't settle for things anymore. It's not, oh, it's on sale. Oh, it's the cheapest thing. Oh, this is as good as I'm going to get. It's when you know who you are, you're willing to wait until you find things that resonate with you. But when you do, you know it.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be on sale. I mean, bonus if it is.
Yes,
Right.
right.
And I actually I do Bougie on a budget. I help women shop aligned with their core values. Not everyone's values resonate with high fashion. Mine don't actually. I'm a ready wear girl. Um, but I did one style board for a client that was all Walmart, Amazon. She wanted shine. I don't love shine because you can't guarantee the quality of the construction or the quality of the fabric. And I'm not dissing the company, just so you know, but she wanted some on there. But like all of her style boards were Walmart, Amazon, and Shine. You know, you can have style in any price point. It's not about what you spend on the money, but you can find things that are authentically aligned. And I love thrift stores. I think
That's
it's
what I
so
was gonna
fun to
say.
play
Yeah,
there.
that is fun. Have
I
you heard the
encourage my
game?
clients to go play there because I'm like,
Yeah.
you can play and you can discover and you can try things on. And if you find something you want to try out, it's cheap. Like go play in a thrift store.
Have you heard the game where you would go with your gal friends and you put a price limit? Let's just
Uh-huh.
say it's 18 bucks
Yep.
and I pick out an outfit for you. You pick
Oh, I
out
love
one
that.
for me,
Yes.
and then we all go out to eat in the outfits.
Oh, fun. Love it. Love it. Girls night outs, party with a purpose. I'm
But
all
it's
about
also wacky because I'm not
Yep.
going to dress you to shine. I'm going to dress you to be ridiculous with
Yes.
plaid and pastels and paisleys.
And again, how do I want to show up? I want to show up connected.
Yeah.
And you can discover parts of yourself that you wouldn't. I love the book, The Sister of the Traveling Pants,
Yeah.
right? Where they're going through. Now, granted, it's fiction, but it's like, they're going thrifting, they're just, being fun, hanging out, but they find this pair of pants that connects them and, becomes this magic pants. But there's nothing in the
Exactly.
pants. It's in the person.
All my pants are magic pants, Kimberly. I'm just going to tell you right there. Sometimes I got the smarty pants. Sometimes I got the sassy pants.
I call my kids sassy britches. I'm like, they got their sassy pants. Oh yes. Oh yes, they do. And jeans with a J or a G.
That's right.
However it comes, apples and trees, I
Yes.
can only get so mad. I'm like, you guys are so sassy. I know. I know where you got
Whoops. Yeah.
it.
You're rubber, I'm glue.
I know.
So, what was your
Good from you,
TEDx?
mom.
What was your brand new TEDx called? What's the title?
The one that I just gave at TEDx Woodinville, I'm actually not sure yet because it's not on the platform. As you know, with titles, you can try to pick them all you want, but ultimately it's up to the organizer. But the working title is The Power of a Power Bra.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I'm excited. And it was I think the final time was a little over 5 minutes. I mean, they're still working on the editing. So it's a short talk. So when it does go live on the platform, I will let you know and I will spread the word on my socials. But yeah, it's not even live yet. It's that recent.
Congratulations. That's going to be
Yeah, it was
very
fun.
exciting to see. And so, if people want to work with you, I bet they can do it over Zoom, right? Because you're going to
Yes.
find out who
Yep.
they are and
I
talk
do
through it.
everything virtually. Yeah, I can do it in person if they live locally, but
Yeah.
most of my clients have been virtual. With the styling, it is a secure portal, right? But they upload pictures and measurements and things and videos and yeah, it's a really fun
Good. How can
process.
they
And they
find you so they can work
Yep.
with you?
Yeah, they can find me at emergencelifecoaching.com. So emergence like the butterfly, coming out of my dark night of the soul, as they say in
Uh,
the woo world. But it was like a butterfly coming out of my cocoon. So emergencelifecoaching.com.
Fantastic. And I can't let you run away until I ask you to share a dare or prank story, one that you've done or had done to you, something. What you got?
Well, this is my dare, and it goes along with the fashion thing. We lived in Las Vegas. I was 8 years old. My dad was military, so he was stationed at Nellis. And anyone who lives in Vegas knows that it's one of the few places where you can buy a swimsuit any time of the year. Like
Yeah,
there is no
right.
swimsuit season. And it was December. It was probably as far as us living in Vegas, it was the coldest winter I'd ever experienced. My birthday's in January. It actually snowed on my birthday in Las Vegas. Um, and I found this bathing suit that I was in love with. It was teal green and it had a ruffle. And I had never had a bathing suit with a ruffle, and I needed a ruffle, but it's December and the coldest winter ever. And my mom was very practical and said, I'm not buying a bathing suit for you in December. I'm not going to do that. And I said, no, I need it. And she's like, you're not even going to use it. And I was like, but I will wear it. And she said, if you swim in the pool in December, I will buy you that bathing suit. So that was my dare. And we went in coldest winter ever. They had to break a thin layer of ice on the top of the pool. And she did not think I was going to do it. But I wanted that bathing suit. I knew it was me. I knew it was mine. And I needed that ruffle. And I jumped in the deep end, swam to the shallow end. I think my hands are losing warmth as I'm telling the story. But I got my bathing suit, and it was me, and I rocked it that whole year.
Oh,
But
the
I
woman who
earned it.
polar plunged for the
Oh
ruffles.
yes, and it's still, my mom still tells that story. She's like, do not dare her, do not dare her to do it, because if she wants it bad enough, and that is me, when I put my mind to something,
I
I
love
will
that
accomplish it.
story. That story still describes you to this day. So a
Yeah.
lot of dare or prank stories are, from way back or
Mhm.
from when we had crazy friends. No, yours stands to be true throughout the test of time.
Yes, if there was something I wanted, now the ruffle bathing suit, probably not at this point, but if there was something that I wanted badly enough,
Girl gonna break some ice.
right, and jump right through it.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored to have chatted with you, Kimberly
Oh,
Parry.
it's
And
been so much
remember,
fun.
we can only be strangers once, and I invite you to stay weird.
Always, always. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.